Remember they did a survey in the last couple of weeks or so? Gee, the airlines did really, really good. Horrible.
Well, the fact of the matter is that we may not have the problem much longer, since 5 out of 6 of the major airlines had losses in this past quarter when they reported yesterday.
It's a bad time for the airlines. But anyway, we're going to talk tomorrow, and we're going to ask you. We answer questions for you. Tomorrow, we're going to ask you to kind of chime in with our guest Adam Bryan on the line, the kinds of things you think will make traveling more fun. Here, let me just think of a word. Let me say a couple of words. Common courtesy.
I can distill it to one word.
What?
Honesty.
Well, I don't know. I'll never forget Continental Airlines when my father-in-law, who was in his 80s, who had recently had a little heart problem, they canceled a flight and said, here's a pillow, here's a blanket.
No, they didn't give him a pillow and a blanket.
They didn't?
They canceled it at 1 o'clock in the morning, left them sitting in Newark Airport. There were no hotel rooms available.
And there was nobody, as far as I know, there was nobody from the airline watching over these people. Hey, have a good night's sleep. 82 years old. Yeah, thanks a lot. I'll fly soon again.
And so we end with Ken yelling at things.
Well, I don't know.
And they say, I'm the hothead. Thanks for joining us here on the Dolans.
America's talk and information station. Radio 710, WOR.
Of all the new cars out there, ever wonder which one is exactly right for you? And wouldn't it be nice if you knew that before you spent days going from dealership to dealership? Well, we think we can help you out. There is one vehicle out there that just might be your dream car. It's the 2001 Subaru Outback Limited. What's so great about the Outback? For starters, it comes standard with full-time all-wheel drive, so you can take it almost anywhere. Wet road, snow-covered road, even no road at all. Then there's a luxurious interior, leather-trimmed upholstery, 2 power moonroofs, CD player, and heated seats. All that adds up to one inviting commute. But what about your bikes and your skis and your boards? Not a problem. Throw them on top, load all your gear in the cavernous cargo space, and take off. So there you have it, the perfect vehicle. Stop by, give it a test drive, and get on with your life. After all, we've done our part. Now it's up to you. Outback, still the world's first sport utility wagon.
See your local Subaru dealer, where you'll find all-wheel drive on every vehicle we make.
I'm Dr. Ronald Hoffman. For better health by day, it's your evening dose of health talk. Tonight at 8 on WOR.
Stay informed by listening to America's talk and information station, WOR New York, and WOR710.com.
WOR News at 3 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Shelly Strickler reporting from the WOR News Center. It's mostly sunny, 51 degrees in Midtown. Tonight, clear skies going down to a low of about 43. The 3 p.m. news brought to you by AT&T. Some parents have no choice but to place their young children in daycare. Now along comes a federally funded 10-year study taken in 10 cities that finds the more time kids spend in daycare, the more aggressive they are when they reach kindergarten. Correspondent Jim Hickey reports.
The researchers do not know precisely why some children who spent a lot of time in daycare tend to be more aggressive in kindergarten. There could be lots of reasons, some of them good. Perhaps the kids are more comfortable around strangers or not intimidated by new environments. Or maybe they were stressed by their daycare experiences. The study, says researcher Bob Pianta, is not meant to be the end-all for raising children.
Pianta says the study should be seen as a signal that there is another piece of the balancing act we ought to be paying attention to. Solemn ceremonies in Israel to remember the Holocaust. Solemn ceremonies also across this nation and in Washington. President Bush took part in the Day of Remembrance program in the Rotunda.
Theirs is a story of defiance and oppression, and patience and tribulation, reaching back to the Exodus and their exile. That story continued in the founding of the State of Israel. That story continues in the defense of the State of Israel.
And in Oklahoma City today, a ceremony to mark the 6th anniversary of the bombing. The Space Shuttle Endeavour is on its way.
3, 2, 1. We have booster ignition and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Endeavour, extending the reach of the space station while extending partnerships above the Earth.
The Endeavour carrying an international crew of 7 and a giant robot arm for the International Space Station. There are 4 countries represented among the 7-member crew: Canada, Italy, Russia, and the United States. Another admission of drug use from a key witness against Kennedy relative Michael Skakel. Gregory Coleman admitted yesterday that he was using heroin when he told a grand jury a couple of years ago that Skakel had once confessed to killing Martha Moxley in 1975 in Greenwich. Today, Coleman testified that he had been using heroin as recently as Monday. WOR time 3:03. Time to find out what happened on Wall Street today, the day after the bulls were running. Let's find out right now. Let's get the information from Jill Schneider. Jill.
Good afternoon, Shelly. It's not quite the rally of yesterday, but stocks are moving higher today. The Dow Industrial Average up 21 points to 10,637. The Nasdaq, boosted by some positive earnings reports, is up 66 points. If you thought yesterday's rate cut by the Federal Reserve meant you could get a lower rate on your mortgage, you may be disappointed. Bob Van Order, chief economist for mortgage company Freddie Mac, says the Fed's move may lower mortgage rates slightly, but probably by less than 1/10 of a percentage point. For Business Week, I'm Jill Schneider on Radio 710 WOR.
WOR time 3:04.
Did you see these reports? CDs are selling like crazy off our site.
Jane?
We moved 1,800 copies of Plastic Pomegranate yesterday.
Jane?
2,200 copies of Plancha Plancha Plancha.
And today the site's down.
Site's down? What are they saying?
No, Jane, our site is down.
In e-business, you have to be ready for anything. That's why it pays to call 1-877-ATT-2464 and host your website with AT&T Business. AT&T Business gives you internet data centers and an IP backbone that are state-of-the-art in speed, security, and reliability. We also monitor and maintain your systems 24/7, all to anticipate, not just react, to your changing needs.
Still down? Oh, I miss those days of bricks and mortar.
Who thinks that?
Call toll-free 1-877-ATT-2464 today or visit us at att.com/now and prepare your website for anything. AT&T Business. Innovative networks, innovative thinking.
Drivers face many distractions in the car. Don't let your wireless phone be one of them. Before using your wireless phone while driving, ask yourself, will this call distract me from my first responsibility to drive safely? Also, use your phone's hands-free option. Remember, state laws prohibit distracted driving. The wireless phone industry reminds you to drive safely. Safety, your most important call. Visit www.driveresponsibly.org.
Tonight, PBS presents a major television event.
They say that no one dies here. They say your factory is a haven.
The story of how one man found the courage to make a difference.
What's a person worth? No. What's one worth to you?
Winner of 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. Schindler's List. Tonight at 8, 7 Central, on your PBS station. Check your local listings.
WOR time 3:06. What's happening on the roads in the Bronx, eastbound Cross Bronx Expressway at Boston Road? Asbestos removal is causing some intermittent lane closures, and this is until further notice. Also in the Bronx, southbound Bruckner at Westchester Avenue, there is an accident to report. 34th Street at 6th Avenue and Broadway in Manhattan. 2 northbound lanes are closed on 6th Avenue, and 2 southbound lanes are closed on Broadway between 33rd and 34th, and that is until Sunday. The weather forecast for the metropolitan area. Clear skies tonight, going down to a low of about 43 degrees. Tomorrow it becomes cloudy with a high of 63. Tomorrow night showers are likely, mainly from late evening on, low near 50. That's at night. Saturday, mostly cloudy and breezy with a chance of showers during the day, but the high, 75 degrees. Sunday, we're looking at 78, but maybe some showers at night. Right now, it's 51, mostly sunny. Coming up next on WOR, for Bob Grant, Jay Diamond. Next news at 3:30. Bulletins at once. I'm Shelley Strickler, reporting from the WOR News Center.
This is the Bob Grant Show on WOR.
All right.
right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jay Diamond in here today on Radio 710 WOR for Bob Grant. And thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much, WOR, for welcoming me here again today. It's fun to be on the radio and in the big time. A little later, we'll be speaking to Jim Pinkerton, syndicated columnist, about an article he wrote in Newsday, I believe, about the elevation of Nazi symbols to great cultural icons in our society today, something that's disturbing to him and I think disturbing to most people, but it persists. And we're also going to speak to Joy Browne perhaps a little later about a story I'm going to tell you about now. And if you can believe it or not, a little girl, 12-year-old, was ordered by her school to stop using sign language on a bus. The principal and the bus driver felt it disturbs the other students if the hearing-impaired students communicate with each other. We'll speak to her father. But every now and then, something comes across the desk, is in the newspaper, across the wire, on television, all over the place, that defies comprehension to such a degree that you spend days trying to parse out how such a thing could happen. And in the end, I guess it's just another testament to the capacity of human beings to be incomprehensibly, terminally, unfortunately, literally, terminally dumb. Dumbness is something that I guess is part of human nature. It's endemic to the human condition, and yet when you hear it to such a degree, it just boggles your mind. Let me not waste too much time describing this, but it's in the paper. I saw it yesterday. Two psychologists killed a little girl 10 years old in a reenactment of the birth process. It's some kind of psychological treatment they invented that reproduces the birthing trauma, and in their theory, in any event, leads to a resolution of family conflict. But let me read you a little bit from the New York Times story by Michael Janowski from Denver. This is unbelievable. Standing beside the sobbing grandmother of a 10-year-old girl who died last year during unusual psychotherapy that simulates birth, Governor Bill Owens today signed into law a measure that makes the procedure illegal in Colorado. Mr. Owens called what happened to the girl Candace Newmaker so, quote, horrific that he had been unable to read newspaper accounts of it, and it is difficult. Dick Wadhams, a spokesman for the governor, said Mr. Owens was unaware of any law in other states similar to the new one here. It was enacted midway through a trial in Jefferson County District Court in nearby Golden, Colorado, where the two therapists who treated Candace, and I think they should put the word treated in quotes, are facing charges of child abuse resulting in death. The girl suffocated after she was wrapped in a blue flannel sheet for more than an hour to simulate birth, or, quoting, rebirthing, as the therapy is known. Now, let me just digress for a moment and tell you that my grandmother was a very brilliant woman. Humble, brilliant. Beautiful braids, nice green eyes, rosy cheeks. She was heavy-set. And Regina Loft was her name. And her legendary wisdom came down to this. She said, nobody complains without a reason. And it's something I've always lived by. People come to me with stories and complaints, and many people would scoff at them. But I take it seriously until I find out otherwise. Similarly, look, I'm not going to lie. I've made my share of cavils in my day, but I at least feel that I have a reason if I've ever complained about anything. And so bear that in mind, my grandmother's wise words that, quote, nobody complains without a reason. Now, how did she impart these words to me? Because I was complaining about somebody else complaining. I said, look, cousin Murgatroyd here is complaining constantly about this. And she said, listen to me, Jay, nobody complains without a reason. There's usually a reason why they're complaining. Now, Candace, the adopted daughter of Jean Newmaker, 47, of Durham, North Carolina, was being treated for reactive attachment disorder, in which a child experiences difficulty forming a loving bond with an adoptive mother. Well, she was alienated from the adoptive mother. Okay, her biological mother lost custody of her to North Carolina state officials over issues of neglect. So really consider this poor, unloved and benighted little girl. The expectation of the two therapists, Connell Watkins, 54, a well-known expert on attachment disorder, and Julie Ponder, 40, who practice in Evergreen outside Denver, was that as they pushed against Candace with sofa pillows from the outside to simulate contractions. She would fight her way out of the sheet as if emerging from a womb and form a close attachment with Ms. Newmaker. But the procedure went awry almost from the start when Candace began pleading that she couldn't breathe and said, "I'm going to die." The entire 70-minute ordeal was videotaped by the therapists and shown 11 days ago to the jury. The exchanges between the therapists and the girl were so striking that Mary and David Davis, her grandparents who stood with Mr. Owens today, left the courtroom. On the tape, Candace is often heard screaming and begging for air, to which one of the therapists is heard to respond, "Scream for your life." One told her that she must die to be reborn. Candace said, "You mean like you want me to die for real?" Ms. Ponder, who was on top of the girl, said, "Uh-huh. Die right now and go to heaven?" Candace asked. "Go ahead and die right now," Ms. Ponder said. Candace appears to have said more than 10 times that she was dying and 7 times that she was vomiting. At one point, she told the therapists, "You said you would give me oxygen." Ms. Watkins responded, "You've got to fight for it." Later, after Candace's final word, a faint no, Ms. Ponder is heard saying, "Quitter, quitter, 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 quit, 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 quit. She's a quitter." An autopsy found that Candace had died of asphyxiation. Ms. Newmaker's part in the procedure was to play the role of an expectant mother. She is seen on the tape with her back to the camera, saying she hoped her baby would be a girl, and adding, "I'm so excited. I'm going to have a brand new baby. I hope it's a girl. I'm going to love her, to hold her and tell her stories. I'm going to keep her very safe. Every day we'll be together, and she'll be with me forever." After 40 minutes or so, Candace became unresponsive to the entreaties from the therapists. They unwrapped her about 30 minutes later. After which, now that's something that's difficult to construe. She was unresponsive for 40 minutes, and yet they waited 30 minutes. The child obviously wasn't breathing or speaking, after which Ms. Newmaker, a nurse practitioner, now that adds to the conundrum. The adoptive mother is a nurse practitioner at Duke University Hospital. She screamed, "Oh no, God, she's dead. Look at her, Candace, Candace." The videotape was the centerpiece of the prosecution's case, which ended last week. Ms. Newmaker, who was initially charged as well, testified under a grant of immunity. The defense began putting on its case last Friday, contending that an undetected heart problem could have contributed to Candace's death. On Monday, Ms. Watkins told the jury that she was aware that there was controversy in the technique she used, which she says she learned in 1999 and has used on 4 other occasions, but that it had been shown to release the rage of angry children. Well, it's incomprehensible to me, but we're very fortunate to have Dr. Joy Browne. Thank you very much, Joy. Glad you could make it in here today.
My pleasure.
Now, you were familiar with this story.
Yeah.
How could, let alone experts in psychology or trained clinicians in psychotherapy, but how could a reasonably alert and conscious human being allow such a thing to happen? And not one, but 3 in a room with a little girl that way.
Okay, well, let's start from the beginning about what we know and what we don't know about this. First of all, these people were not psychologists. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, which means that if you're asking me, do I think this is gobbledygook? Yeah, probably. But I think the people were probably well-intentioned. I mean, first of all, I don't think they'd be stupid enough to videotape something that they thought was going to end as horrendously as this. And to me, Jay, this speaks as much to the fact that we don't, that as society, we are willing to sign up for the most bizarre, nutty things in order to have quick cures. That this was clearly a troubled kid. And presumably the mother was, and I read something that said she was at her wit's end, that the child was acting out in school, had been violent, and presumably the mother is really trying very hard to go through non-traditional routes. I mean, it seems to me sort of ridiculous that the governor of Colorado has now said that this is illegal. It was never legal to begin with. I mean, it was never either illegal or legal, that there are all sorts of kind of nutty things that those of us who are traditionally trained would not necessarily adhere to, but I mean, I think what we need to do, this, of course, went horribly awry, but I'm not sure what it is that we're trying to figure out about this other than it's nutty.
Well,
and
stay
dangerous.
with me, Joy, for a moment, and we'll be back. This is Jay Diamond here for Bob Grant. The number, 1-800-321-8828 on The Bob Grant Show on Radio 710 WOR.
The Bob Grant Show on WOR.
Cabin fever. This is a time of year when it's worst. You've been stuck inside so long you can't wait to get out, stretch your arms and legs, and feel the sun on your face. Well, guess what? The crabgrass seeds that have been in your lawn since last fall feel exactly the same way. There can be millions of them because each crabgrass plant produces up to 80,000 seeds. And after sitting in the frozen soil all winter, they are itching to grow, itching to crowd out your good grass. But you can stop crabgrass from taking over with Scott's Turf Builder with Halts Crabgrass Preventer. Hi, this is Ashton Ritchie with the Scott's Company. Turf Builder with Halts does just what its name says. Halts crabgrass in its tracks by laying down a barrier that keeps its seeds from germinating. Plus, it gives your good grass the deep turf builder feeding it needs to explode with color as the weather gets warmer. Its tiny particles cover every square inch with Crabgrass Preventer, making it the most effective brand you can buy. Put down Scott's Turf Builder with Halts this weekend. Enjoy a thick, green, crabgrass-free lawn all season long.
Hi, honey.
Hi.
I've been driving around the neighborhood, and I'll be darned if I can remember what color our house is.
Blue.
Blue, that's right. I've been so busy lately, I feel like I've hardly been home.
You want me to stand in the driveway and wave so you don't miss it again?
Okay, now, are you a blonde or a brunette?
Redhead.
That's right, a tall, short blue-eyed,
brown-eyed,
redhead, right?
Right.
Remember, it's about dinner as a family. Boston Market. Slow down. Enjoy a quarter dark chicken, 2 regular sides, cornbread, and regular Coke, all for just $4.99. Add one of our new delicious desserts starting at 99 cents. Limited time only. Price, products, and participation may vary. Tax not included.
Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Hey, if you're not replacing your fan belts every other year, you're asking for trouble. Because when a belt finally breaks, you're stuck. So the best time to install a new one is before the old one breaks.
Get in the zone. AutoZone.
If you can't remember when you put new belts on your car, don't wait till they break. Get to your local AutoZone for new fan belts today.
Get in the zone. AutoZone.
It's Jay Diamond on WOR's Bob Grant Show. 1-800-321-8828.
Hello, this is Angela Lansbury. One of the real rewards of being successful is when you're able to give something back to those who are less fortunate. And I can think of no better way than through the Salvation Army. For 130 years, the Army has been providing food, clothing, and shelter to children of all ages. Now, what you may not know is that with a gift of $5,000 or more in cash or appreciated securities, you can establish your own charitable gift annuity. You can even choose which programs you wish to support from a list of over 140 options. And you may be eligible for significant tax advantages, too. If you're over 55, you really should look into these charitable gift annuities from the Salvation Army. The joy of giving can be rewarding in many ways. Call toll-free 888-234-8888 for information. That's 888-234-8888.
Okay, back in action here on the Bob Grant Show on Radio 710 WOR. This is Jay Diamond, and I'm happy to have with me Dr. Joy Browne, who is heard every day on WOR. Why don't you give the exact time and coordinates, Dr. Joy Browne?
I'm on from 9 to 10 in the morning and from 10 to midnight. All joy all the time. And now, this very second.
All right. And we were talking about this really
upsetting story.
Well, yeah, that's a mild word. Because you're here, I'll be less intense.
Well, that's right. You can be intense.
No, but it's incomprehensible. Therapists, and the distinction that is not made in this article, which I think would be wise to make, is that these were not licensed psychologists.
No.
These were women who, and actually I think that's the way it is in New York State, too. I could put up a shingle tomorrow calling myself a therapist.
Absolutely.
And charge what I wanted to.
Absolutely.
I could put an ad in the newspaper tomorrow. Jay Diamond gives a famous therapist, gives you therapy, $300 per hour.
Absolutely.
And if I can find an individual...
Don't pay for it? Therapist is a generic term that means, it could be that you gave back rubs, that you did, you taught people how to do lanyards. Therapist is a generic term that doesn't mean anything. It is not a term of licensure. I actually have a license that I can lose. You can call yourself a therapist, and since nobody's licensing you, you can't lose it.
And that distinction is true. However, I think that most reasonable people, even conscious adults, wouldn't necessarily know that esoterica, that a therapist is not a psychologist. So,
or not necessarily a psychologist.
There's therapists on the radio who aren't even psychologists.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, let me sort of help you at least have a context. So
the point is they don't make that clear here, so this redounds negatively to your profession. Absolutely. Right. And this is part of a long and nutty tradition, as far as I'm concerned, that
people do scared straight kind of stuff, that they do regression to past lives, that this whole notion of rebirth is not a new theory. I think we're not used to seeing it done on children quite so young and with consequences so disastrous and so tragic and so well reported. That what we're looking for is nutsy kinds of shortcuts to people's genuine pain, genuine trauma, and to a certain extent, that part of that may be psychology's problem, in that we don't necessarily, the traditional psychotherapy has not necessarily worked on all these kinds of problems, and so people are looking for alternatives, which are sometimes way beyond the pale.
Forget psychotherapists, forget licensed PhD psychologists, for an instant. Just 3 adults of reasonable intelligence in a room with a child who's an extremist. 3 adults. Let's say we had a teacher in that room. And the mother, by the way, was a nurse practitioner.
Right. These were not unlicensed, or these were not uneducated people, presumably, or naive.
Right. These were conscious adults, at least one of whom had experience in a healthcare profession, which is the adoptive mother.
Right.
So, and the other 2 women, certainly if not experts in psychology, were conscious adults. How could 3 conscious adults, let's say one of them was a real estate agent, one of them was a travel agent, and one of them was the mother, the adoptive mother, the licensed practitioner. How explain to me how 3 aware, sentient, conscious adult humans could ignore the agony of this girl? She was not just killed, she was tortured to death in front of 3 adults.
I wasn't there. I mean, this is kind of shooting fish in a barrel to a certain extent, but it does seem to me, and again, playing a devil's advocate seems to me kind of a stupid position for me to be in, but however, having said that, they decided that this was part of the therapy, that a kid being told, or you have to pretend that you're being born, and I don't have any good answers for it.
I'm getting at something else.
Tell me what you're getting at.
All right, what I'm getting at is
make it clear
that
to me.
If you have a prejudice in your mind, if you have a point of view in your mind, and you believe that point of view and that orientation strongly enough, it can defy what you see in front of the mind.
Absolutely.
Now you understand what I mean.
In fact,
they didn't object. The objective evidence that these people were confronting
they ignored
was that a girl
what their
was
eyes
suffering
said.
to death. Right, exactly.
They ignored what their head and their heart said, and I think this speaks to something else, Jay, which is how quickly we are willing to accept somebody else's perception when it goes against everything we know, everything we believe, everything we see. That somehow this notion of finding a guru, and I know you and I sort of make our living sort of doing that kind of thing, but what I've said to people, I actually did an experiment once. I was on a TV show, and I said to the audience, if you recapitulate phylogeny, do you feel, and I said, how many people agree? And there was sort of a mild smattering, and I said, how many people disagree? Mild smattering. I said, how many people don't know what the hell I'm talking about? Wild applause. I said, that's the point. It doesn't make any difference what my credentials are. If it doesn't make any sense to you, don't buy it. If it does, don't buy it because I said it, buy it because it makes sense. And you're right. Watching your child suffer is terrifying, and clearly this woman got talked into something she knew was wrong. They said, let it go. I mean, you have to assume that the mother is saying somebody's got to help her. I mean, at very least, you'd think where you've got some kind of situation where you're compromising somebody's pulmonary function, you at least have them hooked up to an EKG or something. I mean, but they didn't.
That's an interesting reflection on a human being's psychological orientation. I mean, just people in general, that you can so control, you can so condition your own mind so as to make any interpretation at total variance with the reality in front of you, so that I could see something happening in the real world, but because of an idea that I'm telling myself, I'm so reinterpreting the objective evidence that I see it in a thoroughly subjective way. And
that's exactly what we call.
They didn't see what was going on there.
That's the definition of prejudice, isn't it? That I'm completely unmoved by the facts. I go in, I have a theory, I believe that theory, that ideas are for using, not believing. I try and convince people all the time. I'll say to somebody, my husband beats me and he cheats.
Right.
And I said, why are you with him? She said, because I love him. And I said, what if you won the lottery tomorrow, would you stay or would you go? I mean, we condition ourselves to believe something that doesn't make any sense because we believe in it. We need to stop believing in things and look at what's going on.
I think it affects politics too.
Sure, it does.
People can see terrible conditions, or they see the educational system disintegrating in front of them, or they see electrical shortages, so that a state with a greater population than the whole country of Canada in the 21st century suddenly can't do what they could do in 1927, which is turn on the lights.
Yeah, or they can turn it on, but they're not sure that there will actually be a response.
And instead of seeing it for what it is, they can politically reinterpret reality to fit their own political prejudice and their political ideology.
Untouched by reality.
Here's the final question.
Okay.
You're a psychologist.
I am a psychologist.
In a world where anything can be made subjective, that is subject to interpretation, where reality isn't fixed, where reality is subject to spin, and it's so effective that people can even hypnotize themselves into not seeing what's plain in their face, the hour of suffering leading to the death of a child. How can we know that we're grounded to anything? How do we know what's real in a culture that totally, whether by radio or television or press, reinterprets reality for us in 17 million different ways? There isn't one reality anymore. There's a million realities competing for our endorsement.
Well, I think it's not a simple answer. I think we have to believe in our heads, in our hearts, in our souls. I think that we have to become the measure of what seems right. I think I start off my program today saying that somehow we've decided that people making fun of other people is good entertainment, is entertaining or is fun or is cool. It's not. I'm going to do a program tomorrow at 9 o'clock. You can listen, Jay, because basically my callers call up and say, I have a problem, and I say, get me to the point, and we sort of figure out how to solve it. I don't yell at anybody. They don't yell at me. Tomorrow we're going to do yelling. Tomorrow I'm going to show people how easy, how cheap, how silly it is to just be mean. All of us can be mean. So what? What have we proved by this? I think to answer your question, how do we run our lives in ways in moral lives? And the answer is we pay attention.
Well, how do you stay focused on reality?
See, I don't...
Since everybody is changing. You look at commercials, they change one reality. You look at a movie, it changes another. You hear a politician, they're changing reality constantly.
I got thrown out of a class in graduate school. This is a true story, because the teacher said it is the therapist's responsibility to orient the patient to reality. And I raised my hand and said, who's reality, and got thrown out. I don't think the issue is reality. I think the issue is morality. I think the issue is goodness. I think the issue is kindness. I think the issue is efficiency. I think the issue is, does it work? But I don't know how to deal with people's reality. I only know how to deal with, does it work for you? Is it the right thing to do? Are you hurting anybody else?
I want to thank you very much, Dr. Joy Browne. Right now, this is Jay Diamond here for Bob Grant on Radio 710 WOR. We're going to go to Shelly. I don't have that, so we'll do it. We'll do it later. We'll do it. I don't have
Whose
it right
reality
here.
we're talking about here?
Let's go to Shelley Strickler with the news. We'll be back in a second. The phone number, 1-800-321-8828.
The Bob Grant Show on WOR.
Hey, taxi! Valley View Medical Center.
You all right, buddy?
Yeah, I'm just really excited to see my doctor.
That's a new one.
Well, I can't wait to ask him about once-a-day Glucophage XR. It's a new medicine for type 2 diabetes.
New Glucophage XR, huh?
Yeah. See, I've been taking Glucophage, and it's really helped get my blood sugar down. But you can take new Glucophage XR just once a day. So it gives me everything I love about my Glucophage, and it's more convenient. Of course I'm excited. Oh, great, we're here. Here's a nice tip.
Save it. Listen, I've also got type 2 diabetes, and this new Glucophage XR is the best tip I've gotten all day.
Along with diet and exercise, Glucophage XR, Metformin HCl extended release tablets, can help lower your blood sugar. Glucophage XR is available only by prescription, so ask your doctor if it's right for you. Glucophage XR is not for everyone. In rare cases, Glucophage XR may cause lactic acidosis, buildup of lactic acid in the blood, which is serious and can be fatal in half the cases. This occurs mainly in people whose kidneys are not functioning properly. Tell your doctor about your alcohol use because it can affect your risk. You should not take this drug if you have kidney problems, are 80 or older, unless your kidneys are tested, are taking medication for heart failure, or have had liver disease. The most common side effect is diarrhea. For more information, see our ad in Ladies Home Journal. Call 1-877-412-7175 or visit glucophagexr.com.
The 3:30 news from the WOR Radio 710 newsroom with Shelley Strickler is brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb Company.
Boy, there's new research that suggests that children who spend a lot of time in daycare away from their mothers are more likely to become overly aggressive. But
WOR is dedicated to providing the greater New York listening area with the most qualified, the most experienced, and quite frankly, the most women on radio. Joan Rivers.
Getting education eventually would make the next generation smarter. It's a long-range process.
Daria Dolan.
Annuities come with a surrender charge, which is a percentage fee you must pay to end your contract.
WOR salutes the women whose experience make up the highest quality broadcasters in the radio industry. WOR represents the best in women on radio.
For lunch, for the Tuesday night barbecue, for sunset cocktails, even as the spectacular setting for a wedding and reception. Which restaurant? The Restaurant. That's the name. In Hackensack. Everything about the restaurant is unexpected, whether you pass through the opulent lobby to be seated in a gorgeous two-story dining room or prefer the elegant terrace. Then there's the food. Chef Cliff Pereira's imaginative dishes are beautifully presented. The new spring menu sparkles with the likes of chilled vegetable spring rolls, grilled asparagus and shrimp salad, garlic rosemary rubbed lamb chop with goat cheese flan, chili pepper crusted tuna steak with a black bean mango salsa. Discover the restaurant yourself, and not just for dinner. The restaurant is an especially terrific spot for business lunches. The restaurant just minutes from the George Washington Bridge at 160 Prospect Avenue in Hackensack. For reservations and directions, call 201-678-1100. That's 201-678-1100. Oh, we're back here on the Bob Grant Show on 710 WOR. This is Jay Diamond in for Bob today, and I'm going to get to the phones momentarily. The number 1-800-321-8828. But what I think the message to be derived from that is that everything these days is BS. You can look at a child suffocating and suffering and dying in front of you, and because you harbor in your mind, oh no, this is really great, this is going to work, this is good for her, you see something other than what's really there. Isn't that what happens in politics every day? They deregulate the electricity in California, and nobody has electricity. They get 2-hour random blackouts. Everything stops. You get stuck in an elevator, but it has nothing to do with the deregulation. The old concept of the people using democratic institutions to regulate a public utility has now been vanquished by the new age idea of what supposedly is free market competition. Only what it really is in the real world is old-fashioned cartel price fixing, where people that generate the electricity deliberately take it off the market to raise the price. Okay, Jack is in Monmouth Beach. This is Jay Diamond in for Bob Grant. Hello, Jack.
Hi, Jay. It's nice to hear you back again. I'd like to talk about this reality thing as versus myth. And what hits the point very well is the old movie, I can't think of the name of it, was Walter Matthau in it, and he was in the, he was having a dispute with his friend there about him having an affair, and his friend said, if your wife ever catches you to doing it, just deny it, he says. Well, she happened to walk in on him when he was having an affair. And and she says, she yelled, and she said, ah! And he said, what? He says, no. And he says, what are you yelling about?
Yeah,
he says, well, who's that in the bed? He says, where? Who? I don't see anybody in the bed.
That was, you know who that was? Joey Bishop and Robert Morse in The Art of Love.
Yeah. Is that what the name of it was?
Yeah. Remember, he said, deny, deny, deny. You're absolute. You know, that's the best illustration of what I was just talking about. I'm so glad because that is exactly right. What he said was, he was teaching Robert Morse how to be a philanderer. And Robert Morse is afraid. He says, well, what if my wife is going to catch me? What if I get caught while I'm here in bed with this girl? And he says, you deny, deny, deny. So what, are you crazy? And then there's a flashback of Joey Bishop with this big chick in his bed, and he's playing with her, and the wife walks in and says, and she's going insane like you say, how dare you son of a, I'm going to get you. And he says, what are you talking about? And they both slowly and methodically get dressed. Joey Bishop gets dressed, the sexy girl gets dressed, the wife is screaming hysterically the whole time, you SOB, that's it, I'm getting. He said, what are you? And the girl quietly gets dressed and leaves, and Joey Bishop says, well, there's nobody here, what are you talking about? Take a rest, put a cold compress on your head. You're right, and you want to know something? It seemed funny at the time, and this story story is tragic, but it does demonstrate an axiom of the human condition, which is that people are blind to what's in front of them if their minds have been conditioned against seeing what's really there.
Exactly.
And you can either be conditioned by outside propaganda from the radio, from the television, from the newspapers, from your friends, from a soapbox, or you can condition yourself not to see what's really there. And what if I tell you, I've done that in my life. I've been in the middle of situations where I really didn't realize what was happening in the real world around me. I'm glad you called about that, Jack. I remember that picture. It was very funny, and it really does demonstrate better than anything I would have thought up today, that concept of how a person cannot see what's plain in front of his face.
Right.
Thanks.
Okay, Jack.
I'm glad you called. I appreciate it. All right. The number here on the Bob Grant Show is 1-800-321-8828. What does Bob Grant say? Everything and anything is grist for our ever-grinding mill. And let me say hello right now to Marie in Yonkers. Hello, Marie.
Jay, it is so wonderful to hear your voice.
It ain't that great.
It is so wonderful. We were talking about you, a friend of mine, Richie, last week, and we said, I wonder how Jay is. And believe it or not, you've always been in my prayers. You have such a wonderful voice. We miss your singing. We miss you. And I just hope you have been in good health and that you're okay. And
yes, I'm fine.
And you sound just as wonderful as ever. And I just want to tell you that. And I'm going to listen to the rest of this. I rented this pay-per-view movie, and I said, let me just see what's on the radio now. And I found you, and I'm just so happy. Are you working anywhere else that you could talk about, or?
Yeah, actually I am. I got a great job 2 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
It's a new business. It's something that's really taking off now. I don't know if I should say it on the radio.
Well, don't
I do. Yeah, well, I'm a salad bar inspector.
Hey.
Yeah.
I don't know if you are or you aren't.
There wasn't much market for it, but
let me tell you something.
Last week it became a big deal here.
Listen, don't you make jokes about that, because I think that's one thing that people should think a lot about is a salad bar.
Darling, let me tell you something. When it first started around 1985, I was working in Midtown at the time, and even I was enraptured with the horrible salad bars, because they were such a novelty. You'd go in there and all this food would be there, and I think I went once or twice, and I had some kind of stewed chicken and some beans of some kind. Everything was fine. I came back the third time after eating there 2 days in a row, and I saw some fella who looked like he had been chronically ill for a long time, and he was moping around the salad bar, and he picked up some egg salad with his finger, tasted it, and put it back.
Oh, my God.
Well, I fled in horror, and that was 1985, and I never went to a salad bar again after that, and I always used to scratch my head and marvel when I'd see other people doing it, and I made speeches on the radio about the foolishness of eating in salad bars, and then 2 weeks ago, when I heard that story about what the guy did in the salad bar, I won't go into the graphic specifics of it, Marie, but I'm sure you heard it. A fellow was, in case you didn't, it sounds like you might not have, he was found spraying some kind of illicit substance into the salad bar. A substance that goes from one end of your body. Well, what happens to food when you eat it? So anyway, they caught him, and I couldn't believe that there were still people eating in salad bars, and apparently undaunted, but I was fortunate enough to see my first vagrant try the egg salad and put it back many, many years ago, so I haven't bothered with him since. But I do think they're a public health hazard, and I don't think they should be allowed. I think the Board of Health should close up the salad bars. Who in their right mind could eat? Even a lot of times when you go to the salad bar, you see the egg salad has a thick quarter-inch crust on it anyway.
To me, it's never appetizing, and I never eat one.
Yeah, no, it's not a good idea.
It's grotesque. All it is a whole lot of food, and people who pass by look at it and breathe all over it.
Right.
And it's so repulsive, actually.
That's right. And yet, and it's food there out in the open. There's flies circulating, and like I say, it isn't just that one time when I saw some fella sample the egg salad and put it back. I once saw somebody do something very arcane with some guacamole that had just been brought out, but I won't go into the specifics. Yeah, Broadway Roy, one of our most distinguished actors, is acting out in pantomime. He's like Marcel Marceau. All right. Thank you, Marie. It's nice to hear from you again. I appreciate it. Jay Diamond here on Radio 710 WOR, and Martin is visiting in the car, so hello, Martin.
Hi, Jay. Welcome back. It's great to hear you again. I missed you, man.
I missed myself.
Yeah, you were great. Anyway, you were just talking about that movie with Bobby Morse and Walter Matthau.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Okay, it was The Guide for the Married Man.
Yeah, Guide, that wasn't the guy, right, but it was Joey
and
Bishop.
Walter Matthau was being led by Bobby Morse. I'm an actor.
No, but Joey Bishop was in the scene.
Right, but I mean, Bobby Morse was the philanderer.
Oh, that's right, that's exactly...
He was teaching Walter Matthau how to do it.
No, I think it was it Walter Matthau who was the acolyte?
Yeah. Bobby Morse was the condition guy.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought Bobby Morse was the student.
No,
I had it
Walter
wrong.
Matthau was.
But in the scene I refer to, it's Joey Bishop.
I remember that scene. Yeah, that was a great movie.
Who was the girl? Was it the girl from the producers?
It
might have been that big statuesque woman. I can't remember her name.
I saw it years.
It's odd because the producers opens tonight.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. See, Broadway Roy used to be adept at getting free tickets for everybody, but he's lost his magical touch and his dotage.
Jay, I just want to wish you back. Welcome back, and it's great to hear you again. I hope to hear you more and more on the radio.
Let me tell you,
I missed you, man.
It's nice to hear myself too. I missed myself.
Okay. Good luck, Jay. And thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Sarah's calling for the first time on Radio 710 on the Bob Grant Show, and this is Jay Diamond. And hello, Sarah.
Yes, hi. I had to respond to this horrific story that's on the news today. I just can't take the story. I want to bring a different perspective. Is Dr. Joy Brown still with you?
No. She's
well, everything is so analyzed today. Why don't you look at it just the way it is? This woman was not the child's real mother. Had it been the real mother, she would have responded to the child's cries. And that's the problem. That someone told me that today's 10-year-olds are really today's teenagers. They mature so young. And all 10-year-olds, I happen to teach 10-year-olds, they're all rebellious.
Sarah, I don't agree with you. Well, with respect to a child being rebellious, perhaps, but I could almost guarantee that if I were there, I would have said, "What the are you doing? Are you people nuts? Come on!" I would have taken that kid out of there in a second.
Well, this woman is a nurse. She's taught to be, to stand back and look at things in a perspective. See, I'm a teacher. I respond differently to my students than I do to my children, my own children.
I know.
I could be more disattached to my students and more intellectual to my students. But when it comes to my own children, I could just, fall apart when anything happens.
No, my dear lady,
there's motherly love involved.
No, wait, but the standard you're asserting for having feeling is very high. I don't have to be somebody's blood relative or parent to rescue somebody from meaningless, absurd torture. You're saying that the reason, if this woman had been her birth mother, she would have...
She would have jumped in there and would have said, what's going on here? I mean, the child is suffocating.
Wait, you mean a normal person would let a child suffocate?
No, a normal person
You have to be someone's mother to take them away from being tortured. To save somebody from being tortured, you have to be their mother.
Normal people don't do it, but they're so highly educated. I have to tell you something.
I think a normal person, believe me, I'm enough of a pain in the neck that if I see a little girl, if she'd been doing that for 20, 30 seconds, I would have said, hey, get this thing off her. Call the police if you want. I'm not going to broach it. Nobody in their right mind would let that happen. But the reason it happened is because these people convinced themselves that this was for the girl's benefit and that it would turn out great. And you can condition your mind in that fashion so that you don't see what's in front of you. And that happens in politics. That's why people vote for the Libertarian Party. They think private rights are great. Hey, listen, I got this third shift job at McDonald's, and I bought this plot of land here, and who's going to tell me I can't keep nuclear waste on it? This is my God-given property. I got the Constitution in my back pocket. This is Jay Diamond, the number from all points. Anything and everything is grist for Bob Grant's ever-grinding mill, right here on Radio 710 WOR, 1-800-321-8828. This is Jay Diamond.
The Bob Grant Show on WOR.
It's a day like any day in any luxury sedan. Fingers setting radio buttons, hands swapping CDs in and out of the stereo, climate control waiting to be adjusted. But in a parallel dimension, an Infinity driver is doing all of this not with his hands, but with his voice.
CD, play.
Introducing the entirely new Infinity Q45 with Infinity voice recognition.
Temperature 72 degrees.
With the power of your own speech, you can control a car's Bose audio system, adjust the climate control, even instruct its navigation system.
Navigation, show route home.
In about 1 mile, right turn.
Infinity voice recognition. While other luxury car companies have been perfecting the present, Infinity has been creating the future. The new Q from Infinity, accelerating the future.
Voice recognition of navigation system commands is limited. See retailer for details.
Suburban sprawl is choking New Jersey. So what's Don DeFrancesco's solution? Nothing. He's sitting on a bill to repeal Mount Laurel, a decision which has done nothing but spur sprawl and harm our cities. He's put his developer friends above you. It takes courage to stand up to the special interests. It takes Brett Schundler.
Don DeFrancesco won't do this. I will. Within 1 month of taking office, I'll make sure a bill is posted to hold a referendum on Mount Laurel. We'll amend our state constitution by a vote of the people, and Mount Laurel will be reversed.
Brett Schundler beat the Democrats' most powerful machine to become the Republican mayor of Jersey City 3 times. He got rid of corruption in City Hall, cut taxes, and got rid of wasteful spending. Now Brett will beat the Trenton political machine. As governor, he'll stand up to the special interest to cut taxes, revive our cities, and stop suburban sprawl. Because Brett Schundler has the courage to lead and win. Paid for by Schundler for governor.
Attention high school seniors and undergraduate college students interested in a career in radio and television broadcasting. Would you like to work this year at WOR Radio? As it has for 22 consecutive years, the New York State Broadcasters Association, in conjunction with the New York State Office of Children and Family Services, again this year is sponsoring the Nelson A. Rockefeller Intern Program, open to all New York State high school seniors and undergraduate college students. If you're between 17 and 21 years old and a career in broadcasting sounds interesting, send us a letter telling us why you'd like to work at WOR Radio. We'll review your letter and perhaps call you in for an interview. Send your letter to the Nelson A. Rockefeller Intern Program, WOR Radio, 1440 Broadway, New York, New York, 10018. Who knows? You could be working at WOR this year. Good luck. Get your letter in today. That's the Nelson A. Rockefeller Intern Program, WOR Radio, 1440 Broadway, New York, New York, 10018.
Okay, Secretary's Day is next Wednesday. Surprise your exceptional assistant with a Bear Graham gift from the Vermont Teddy Bear Company. Just call 1-800-829-BEAR, and friendly bear counselors will help you choose from over 100 handcrafted bears, like the Real Boss Bear and the new Lifesaver Bear. Show your appreciation in an original and fun way. Of course, there are bears for all kinds of occasions, like the new Baby Bear, the Birthday Bear, and the Mother-to-Be Bear. Every Vermont Teddy Bear comes with a personalized card and candy, all delivered in a colorful gift box with an air hole. That's so the bear can breathe. Send a beautiful Vermont Teddy Bear, which will be enjoyed forever because Vermont Teddy Bears are guaranteed for life. Bear counselors are ready to help you right now, and it only takes about 5 minutes to order. Overnight and Saturday delivery are guaranteed, so call today at 1-800-829-BEAR or shop online at VermontTeddyBear.com. Send a Bear Graham gift, the creative alternative to flowers for Secretary's Day or any occasion. That's 1-800-829-BEAR. Tell them Bob Grant and WOR Radio sent you, but you could mention that I read the spot, too, for a day or two. Wouldn't hurt. Get a thigh on a bear there. Oh, all right. I'm learning my way here. You know, like I say, people don't know what's real in front of them. Here I'm looking at 2 things. Rudy's friends, 2 Giuliani confidants, worked for the British company that won an airport management contract. That's Peter Powers and Ray Harding. So if you're friends with whoever's in charge, you get big contracts, and then your kids get jobs. Ray Harding's kids both have $100,000 jobs in the city administration. Hale House is another thing. Hale House, that great charity. But listen to this: they raised $8.4 million last year, and they spent $54,000 of it to feed and clothe the kids. What happened to the other $8,300,000? Good question. You know, this 501c3 business is a scam. I know many charities that devote a very minute percentage of what they raise to actually what they're supposed to do. Most of what they do is raise money. David's in the car. This is Jay Diamond here for Bob Grant. Hello, David.
Yes, hi, Jay. Great to hear you again. We truly miss you.
I miss myself.
Yeah, I bet you do. Listen, you better get an agent, because I'll tell you, there's no reason for you not to be on the radio. Could really use your input.
I don't know. I think the audience likes me better than the agents.
Yeah, well, they're missing out on some talent. But enough of that.
Where'd you get the idea that talent gets you on the radio?
Yeah, well, you're 100% right. I really am very selective.
If you came down from Mars these days, you wouldn't necessarily make the assumption that you get to be on the radio for having talent.
Yeah, you're really correct on that. Listen, I just wanted to agree with you on that point you were making about you don't have to be somebody's mother to take action.
Yeah.
I think if you look at I've had personal experience. My son and I ran into an unfortunate case of someone that was trapped in a burning vehicle, and we acted immediately. Really didn't think about whether or not it was my brother or not. There's another human being in distress, and
of course,
and we acted. I mean, that's a terrible premise. I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are blood relatives that kill their relatives. I mean, it's has nothing to do with that. I think it's your upbringing, the way you've been taught, and I think that's really more important.
It's who you are. Listen, I'm not a hero, but I've gone over to people in the street who are beating their kids and say, "Wait a minute, take it easy. Take it, leave them alone." I've done that. Leave the child alone. I've said then they want to kill me immediately. I've done that. Or if I see drivers who are doing something god awful, or kids on bikes harassing elderly people on sidewalks, I'll always chip in my 2 cents. And maybe I'm crazy, and then again, maybe I'm not. But I think to set the standard for saving somebody from being killed at having to be a blood relative is not, in my view, sensible.
No, not at all. I think what you're saying is correct. If more people acted the way you are, there would be there'd be less tolerance for this deviant type behavior. Like you were talking the other day, yesterday, about the the scooter that flew around the corner and the response you got.
Right.
I mean, you were 100% correct on that. And people just aren't taught respect. I think if more people didn't necessarily scream and yell about it, but took some type of action and made these people more of a pariah, there might be less of it.
Anybody with any normal human empathy can't sit and watch a child. You don't have to be somebody's mother to save a child from being killed. I have a question. So this lady who called me, nice lady, well-meaning, but she sees a building burning down. She says, "Oh, I hope somebody who lives there, I hope their mother's walking down the street, because I wouldn't pick up the phone to call the fire department. If I were her mother, I would. I got to run." Thanks, David. Jay Diamond here for Bob Grant on Radio 710 WOR.
The Bob Grant Show on WOR.
Hi there. I'm your concentration. Now, where were we? Oh, yes. I'm what helps you remember what you're supposed to be doing. You haven't hung out with me for a while, but I've been here in your brain, waiting for a chance to say hi. It's just that with your crazy schedule, your brain has been too frazzled to notice. And, well, there's one small problem with that. When you're really busy, I'm what keeps you from spinning your wheels, from running around like a chicken with its head cut off. So maybe you should try Ginkgoba. Ginkgoba helps keep you sharp by increasing the flow of oxygen-rich blood to your brain. Staying sharp helps you keep in touch with me, your concentration. So it's easier for you to stay on track, get things done, and turn yourself into the success you want to be. Sharp. You can make it happen. Ginkgoba.
Ginkgoba is a registered trademark of Pharmaton Natural Health Products. Be sure to visit newginkgoba.com to learn more about how to stay sharp and productive. Look for Ginkgoba in the vitamin aisle at your favorite food, drug, or discount stores.
For Good Neighbor Pharmacy, I'm Roger. And the question is, why Good Neighbor Pharmacy? And here to answer that question is Frank Iannarone, Good Neighbor Pharmacist and Good Neighbor Pharmacy owner in Madison, New Jersey.
At my store, Madison Pharmacy, like all other Good Neighbor pharmacies, we're independently owned and operated. You'll find that we accept all Medicaid and insurance plans. Madison Pharmacy also offers many great services, such as delivery, ear piercing, and free blood pressure testing. We also offer compounding and flavoring and have a 24-hour emergency line. Remember, parking is always free in Madison. Come into Madison's Good Neighbor Pharmacy, Madison Pharmacy, and feel the warmth of a real community drugstore.
To find the Good Neighbor Pharmacy nearest you, call 888-GNP-STORE or on the internet at www.mygnp.com. For Good Neighbor Pharmacy, I'm Roger, here with Frank Iannarone, saying, be well and well informed.
All right. Wish I could find it. That's the... Oh, okay, I got it. Sorry. I'm out of practice. Have you tried Chamonix yet? Chamonix is an amazing new anti-wrinkle cream. My Josephine has been using Chamonix, and when Bob hears this, he's going to beat me up. And she loves it. And that's Bob's Josephine, but she loves it. She does love it, and they just ordered more. Chamonix is special because it increases energy production right inside your skin cells, and it creates younger-looking skin rather than covering wrinkles up. Try Chamonix. You'll see and feel the difference just like Josephine has. The active ingredients in Chamonix are so effective that they've been recognized in Life Extension magazine. Order Chamonix today, and you can get a second 2-month supply. 2 months supply for half price. Now, here's more good news.